Okay. Okay. Let's figure this out right here. Alrighty. Now, what I want to do here is teach y'all what's going on. So, we're about to lose a small skirmish again. They finally called Ghislaine Maxwell, what's that boy name? Epstein's girlfriend. Finally called her the other day. And they about to kill her already. Ghislaine Maxwell is in 14-day COVID isolation at the Brooklyn jail that she is locked up in. Now watch this live. I'm getting ready to upload a comment, yeah, on my own video. I'm ready to upload a comment. Desktop. Yo. Bingo. Bango. Now look at this stupid shit. I need you to look very closely whenever I post this. I need you to look very closely. Let me blow it up for you. Oh, I can't blow it up. All right, no problem. Okay, but it says, whoops, you published this one too soon. BBC out of the UK reports Ghislaine Maxwell moved to intensive care as coronavirus symptoms worsen. July 11th, 2020. When I looked at my calendar, I seemed to notice that the date on this photo is 3 days in the future. Mhm. Former socialite and Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell has been moved to intensive care in hospital after her coronavirus symptoms worsened. Yeah, yeah, see, it's an issue that the Wizard of Oz is the man behind the curtain, not the devil on the screen. You see, and once the curtain is pulled back, then the Wizard of Oz gets very nervous, is scared, and does whatever you need done. See what I'm saying? Whatever you need done, as long as you got heart or brain and all that other stuff they was looking for on the Wizard of Oz. So what's important is that like 20 of these people, instead of running for your life, 20 of these people need to speak out at the same time. Or even 10 people that know about this. I know you enjoyed it thoroughly, having sex with little children. But and killing them and eating them. I know you had an excellent time doing that, but it's still wrong. And you can't repent because your brain is wired wrong. I understand that. But you also should not be afraid, because if you come out one at a time like this, once a year, you're dead. They're gonna locate you in the jail that you're at and have you relocated to death, or relocated to hell. But if you come out 20 at a time, 10 strong, 10 at a time, you see, then you can survive that information. You feel me? So I don't know why in the world you guys are keeping this a secret when it's already, the lid is blown clear, smooth off. Didn't you hear Madonna say there is no more pasta? Now we have fried fish, which means to perform false flags. So it appears that Trump is hip to that and figured out that the false flag that you performed, and is trying his best to reopen the country. You know, the only reason we really want to reopen the country is so that people can go to court and go to jail. I understand that. I get that. But you know, these nuts is I can't wait till he gets in office. I can't wait till he gets in office. You see? Oh yeah. There's something else I wanted to talk about though. I'm just so bewildered, and I can't understand why these people live this lifestyle and think that nobody was ever going to find out. Don't you know that everything you do in the dark will eventually come to the light and be blinded by the light, and you know? That's pretty dumb. Okay, so now there's a brainstorm that I want to go over tonight. I call this Saving Private Esau. Let me make sure I got that title right on this thing. Huh. It didn't want to give me the right title, huh? That's fine. That's perfectly all right. So this show is gonna be titled. Let me change that right now. Matter of fact, let me change that right now. I wonder if I can change that. I wonder if I can change that. Let's go here. If I could change that live, that would be so great. Saving Private Esau, or as Nazi Mitzvah calls him, Esau. Nigga stole my name. Not only did he steal my name, but he said he said he calls himself Nazi twice. Well, now how does that work? I don't understand how that works. Well, why did you call yourself Nazi twice, Mitzvah man? I don't get it. I'm gonna put this in agendas on trial. I'm gonna catch you, your agenda guys, on that. But you know, agenda. Everybody has an agenda. It's just the people that claim they don't have an agenda that I worry about very sincerely. I know good and well you up to no good once you say, I don't have no agenda. Bitch, you lying. So I needed to quit lying and go for broke and help black people out and stop attacking the black people who are trying to help black people. Hold on. Okay. Jump on the call. Figure this out. I'm not a Zoomy expert. Let me I think it's over here. Hold on. Behind me. Annotate, stop video more. I don't know. I want to go to stop share screen. How about that? Stop share. Okay. And I want to go here to the chat. And to what I want to do. I want to invite participants. Here we go. Invite. Click that right there. And then save link, copy link. And then place this back on screen share right quick. All right. I got to talk to the Vortex to teach me how to do the fancy view of the thing. You feel me? I'll talk to the Vortex about that. You know, the crazy man. But he has this thing set up real smooth. And then he sets on that up real smooth. All right, so let's get to the lesson. It's called Saving Private Esau. Let me make sure that title changed. Yeah, it's changed. Saving Private Esau. Because there is a tribe of Edomites that deserve our respect, and I'm not going to allow you to disrespect them. I mean, I don't know who they are, but I know one member of them. So now, if one member of them is there, then clearly his family record, you know, people are naturally related to millions of other people, or at least hundreds of thousands of other people. You feel me? At the minimum, at the bare minimum. But as far as Israelites go, you know, we can't even count our relatives. Uh, so what I'm trying to tell you is that it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very easy and simple to figure out who our who the ancestors of the Temanites are based on that one man. You see what I'm saying? So this the one man is Jose Rizal's uh, descendant. All right. A lot of people get that mixed up. A descendant is like a child. An ancestor is like a parent. So please stop mixing that up and get smart and catch up, hot dogs. Now, if you take a look at here, I got some information here that was sent by the righteous judge, Terry Smoot Jr. And I ain't even reviewed it yet, but I know good god dang well he knew what I was asking him. And he's a smart guy, and he gave me the research. He sent me a bunch of links to research. So I'm going to click on all of them and read them for you, because I know the information based off a conversation that we had. And I told him, please cite the information that we talked about the other day, right? So this book here, what's the title of this book here? It's called Telemachus Tempe. Okay, whatever that means. Now, oh, it's a dictionary. Okay, no problem. No problem at all. So we're gonna get down to Temenus and define that. Temenus, son of Aristomachus, was one of the Heraclidae who invaded. Why is it so fucking tiny? Stop playing with me, man. I can't. Nobody got no X-ray vision, Nick. Oh shit! I'm fucked up somewhere. I'm fucked up. Alrighty. Let's get back up here to the T's in this dictionary. How about I just click it again because I done lost the damn page. Okay, let's zoom it in a little bit more. Zoom it in a little bit more. Let me get my spectacles out. First of all, this needs to go down. What the hell is going on here? Oh, I can't see this thing. I don't know why people set their websites up like this, but they don't have no page scroll on the side. So that's fine. That's fine. I'll get to it. You just have to squint your eyeballs and lean in real close to the screen. Okay, Temenus, son of Aristomachus. You're gonna look him up right now. Aristomachus. Who's that? Aristomachus. Who was that? Okay. Aristomachus in Egypt was a Byzantine official in Egypt. Whoa. A Byzantine official in Egypt? When was this? He was active in the reigns of Tiberius II, Constantine from 574 to 582, and Maurice. Wow. That better not be Saint Maurice. But at any rate, this is AD, so pretty sure they weren't whitewashed by that time, and they were still black. Byzantine Empire were black people. I'm not gonna prove that to you right at this moment because when the other people talk, you don't ask them to prove themselves, and I'm not finna go through that part of the lesson just yet. So Aristomachus, this is my position. Aristomachus was a black official in Egypt. He was active in the reigns of Tiberius, who was a black person, the second Constantine. So that Constantine was the emperor who was reigning during that time, and Tiberius, from my position, was a black man. So let's test that to see if there are no whitewashed images. Iconoclasm is a real phenomenon that happens very often, even today in movies. The man who ran into the Twin Towers that saved a bunch of people was a black man, and they made a movie about his heroism, and the actor was white. So it still happens to this day. So looking at Tiberius Constantine coin here, that's pretty interesting. Yep, he has braids. Yep, it clearly has braids. That's fine. It looks, but it's very difficult to tell from the coins, and you can argue either way very easily. You know what I mean? Say, oh, that's a black man. Oh, no, he's white. He's clearly white. Then again, when you look at his eyeballs, right? He has those mulatto eyeballs on this coin. You see what I'm saying? So, mulattoes 9 times out of 10 have ginormous eyes. So that's an attractive trait from my perspective. So it's not like a shot. I'm not throwing shade or nothing. So let's start. That's the start. Now we went to the definition, and we're back at the definition. I just wanted to show you the players involved there. The son of Aristomachus was one of the Heraclidae who invaded Pelo- Peloponnesus. After the conquest of the peninsula, he received Argos as his share. Okay. His descendants, the Timinidae, being expelled from Argos, are said to have founded the kingdom of Macedonia, whence the kings of Macedonia called themselves Timinidae. Right. All right. So now this is his argument. Terry Smoot Jr., the righteous judge, says that the Timinidae are the Temanites, uh, as described in the Bible, right? So this is not a cognate. This particular definition is not a cognate to that. However, uh, throughout a family line, there are numerous repetitions of a well-established family name or well-respected family name within the ancestry of any person. So, like for example, my father is Horus the Third. I'm supposed to be Horus the Fourth. See what I'm saying? So his father is Horus the Second, and his father is Horus the First. So that's just a common thing that happens among countless people throughout their family history. You'll find that um, they'll honor an ancestor by naming a child after an ancestor. You see what I'm saying? So that's my argument for these Temanites here in the AD times being related to the Temanites in the Bible around, maybe I want to say close to in the 1000, 1200 BC range, or even later, maybe the 1300, 1400 range. So I'll be safe and say between 1000 BC and 1500 BC, just to be safe. When you want to argue, go right ahead. But I'm gonna move on to the next link right now. Okay, so the next link is right here, the history of Macedonia and Alexander the Great. The show is called Saving Private Esau. All right, Alexander the Great and his Greek origins. All right, so we call him Alexander the Freak or Alexander the Greek, stuff like that, because their whole lifestyle from birth to death is completely extremely sexually deviant. Okay, so this is clearly a Renaissance remix of the actual man, and pretty sure all of his art had been destroyed. They systematically destroy uh, black art in order to erase our past. And, it kind of sounds similar to what's going on today with the Confederate statues. So Alexander III of Macedon was born in 356 BC in Pella, capital of the Macedonian kingdom, an ancient Greek state. He was born of the Macedonian king Philip II and Olympias, princess of Molossians in Epirus. Really? I wonder. I wonder if they whitewashed her too. You know, they gotta whitewash everything, that all associates and everything. You know what I mean? Let's check it out. Okay. Appears slightly whitewashed for whatever that is. Olympias was the daughter of. Let's see if they have any art for that period, that time period. Greek tom, Greek tombs, female forms hint Olympias may lie within. Okay. They act like they found her body. Okay, let's see if they did. Female sculptures revealed in Greek tomb, technically known as caryatids, pillars formed from sculptures of female figures common in Greek and Roman architecture. The statues were unearthed in a mysterious, massive burial mound in Greece's northeastern Macedonia region after archaeologists had already entered a chamber guarded by two colossal headless and wingless sphinxes. According to team leader Katerina Pirstetti, the structure dates between 325 BC, 2 years before Alexander the Great's death, and 300 BC. Flanking a marble doorway, I'm not going to read all this, but I'm looking for photos just to confirm to my own knowledge that these people are black. You see, it's clearly what's happening here, because there's no art of her in the time period. So it's a common knowledge that black art was clearly destroyed. The mighty mother of Alexander the Great. See, and it was his mother. Whoa, see that? His mother. So they're clearly going to destroy her image, because if they find out, if they reveal to the world that she's black, then uh, white nationalists will completely go completely bonkers, as they're doing right now, getting ready to start a civil war. So let's see if this has anything to do with it here. She looks black, but who is this her? Queen Olympias, Alexander the Great's mother, by Etsy, but it's not giving me like a source of the image, so it's probably clearly modern, and somebody who knows that she was a black woman, and thus colored one of her busts. You know, recreated the art for one of her busts. You know what I mean? So let's continue to search for her true image. And there's nobody from the time period. There's no art from the time period, except for maybe. Does that say Olympias? Or no? And she's clearly white. Okay. I know I'm getting closer when I see a black face. But see, this is a whitewashed image that was also destroyed because he looked too mulatto. You see how mulattoes have those humongous eyes? All right. So I'll look around some more. Uh, let's look at 300 BC art. Let's just look that up, maybe. 300 BC art of Olympias. See, they always hide it on, on Pinterest with no information. On Pinterest never gives information about uh, their exhibits. So there's no use of me clicking on the link to even determine that. Let's find this out. Okay, is this her? Let's see. Late classical, Nike from the balustrade. Hmm. Nike may have been Olympians. Let's find out. Boy, if that's the case, and that'd be amazing. But as you can see, um, the art is clearly destroyed, and is you cannot determine the race of the model. All right. Let's see if anybody's in the chat. Nope. Okay. What we got here? It's interesting. Art Fix Daily. Sicily suddenly cancels traveling exhibition of who? Suddenly. Why would you suddenly do that? Of antiquities, of course. Yeah, because there was too many black people in the exhibit, of course. I understand. I mean, I clearly, really, literally get it. You know what I mean? So I can't find in the super quick Google search actual preserved image of Olympias, but they hinted at Nike being uh, alive at that same time, yet destroyed art. You see what I'm saying? So if I do a little digging, I could probably link Nike to Olympias. But if you notice here, this is a black guy. That's obvious. You know what I mean? I suppose they're supposed to be doing something. I don't know. Maybe I think they're doing a dance routine. I think these were the original Jabberwockies. Yeah, yeah. That's what it looks like to me. They look pretty much in sync with their legs. You see? So that's how the Jabberwockies got down in ancient times. So let's move around then, since I cannot find the original Olympias. This is just like this right here. Another whitewashed movie. 300. Every last one of those men, those 300 soldiers were black people. All 300 of them, including this guy here. You know what I mean? That's just their favorite thing to do, is just to make themselves look like everything great in the past, when we are clearly the ones who built everything. Obviously, I mean, why else would you hire us and give us no pay for every every captivity that we've been in, and not pay us? It's because, well, we're the builders, and you know, we give all credit to the Most High. So you figure since we didn't want the credit, then we didn't want the payment for working, but that's not the case. Yeah, we still deserve to be paid. That's not making any sense at all if you think that way. So that's Alexander the Great, the son of Olympias. Okay. And here it says the Macedonian royal house was called Argeades or Teminidae. See how Teminidae shows up in 356 BC, but we just read about 500 AD, also being called Teminidae. That's what happens in a family line. You have constant recurrences of a respected ancestor in somebody's family, and that's how you know uh, or remember throughout your family lineage who your patriarchs are, who your most respected and most famous uh, ancestors were within your family. So, I mean, my ancestors are Washingtons. I have an Uncle Booker Washington. I don't know if it's, uh, I haven't done enough research to uh, figure out if it's the actual super famous Booker T. Washington, but I do have a Booker Washington in my family. So hopefully you understand that part as I'm building the foundation for the Teminidae, starting at the most modern that we saw, right? But then I started way back in the day. Now that's a long time ago. That's ancient times. 500-ish AD is ancient times. So we saw the reference to Teminidae in the definition, and then we read about Alexander the Freak and saw the definition there uh, that his royal house was called this. See, and this is the history of Macedonia that I'm reading. Okay, so it goes on to say, according to the tradition, the founder of the royal house, Perdiccas, even the name of the founder differs in reference with the ancient source used, along with his brothers, the Teminidae, came to the place called Macedonia from the Greek city of Argos. These Teminidae were descendants of Hercules. Excuse me. Descendants of Heracles through Temenus. Thus they were called also Heracles. Okay. Since the time of Alexander the First, we're reading about Alexander the Third, you see, and Alexander the First, who was better known as the Philhellene. Macedonian kings participated in Olympic Games, which, as we all know, only Greeks could take part. The art, yes, see, they got the whole world is Greek now. The whole world is Greek now because now everybody can participate in the Olympic Games. So they have accepted that that information. You see, uh, from top to bottom, the whole world has been Hellenized. You see. The Argive origin of the Macedonian royal house was well attested and widely believed both from Macedonians as well as the rest of Greeks. Rivals like the political intricacies of Demosthenes against Philip is the tenuous exception to the general rule. Philip II, father of Alexander the Great, was son of the Macedonian king Amyntas III and Eurydice, a Lyncestian princess. Lyncestians were incorporated earlier to Molossians. Hence, we could find them in ancient sources as Molossian ethnic or as Lyncestian Macedonians. A strong Illyrian. Okay, so this is another testament to multiple names that uh, people are known by. Just like we're known as African American and Black, and our name and our nickname, and then the derogatory terms that people call us, and nigger, which is a euphemism, which means black. You see what I'm saying? So that just happens. You know, when you see multiple names, everybody gets confused. Like, see, they weren't called this; they were called this. No, they were called both at the same time. Okay, so you know, ignorance is bliss, and you know, we live an American dream, which has got to go. You got to learn things and then apply what you learn. Turn your passion into profit. A strong Illyrian. That's a quote from the New Orleans rapper. Uh, I don't want him to sue me. A strong Illyrian influence can be recognized in the nearby Lyncestian kingdom, but their royal house was widely believed in the ancient world to be descendants of the Greek Bacchiads coming from Corinth. You see, now we're getting closer to the historical theater, you know, in the Middle East, because I mean we're already right next door in Greece. You know what I mean? So the Greek Empire was way too friendly, and the Romans just walked in and killed them all and took over. So Eurydice, uh, they're way too civilized. That's the word I was looking for. Way too civilized. Eurydice was daughter of a Lyncestian princess, daughter of Arabos, king of Lingos and Cyrus, a person shrouded in great darkness, since his ethnicity is obscure. There are conflicting theories which identify him either as Illyrian or as a native Lyncestian. Anytime you see native, you're talking about indigenous. And as anybody should recognize that is in the unconscious community, uh, indigenous everywhere in earth are black people. We can only conclude Philip's Greek ancestry is proved beyond doubt by the traditions of the Greek royal houses, both in Macedon and Lingos. So the royal houses, this is how they rule. They rule by knowing their family lineage and their ancestors, and they get in contact with as many relatives as they can possibly find, and then they support each other, set each other up with uh, you know, commercial ventures. You see, and they get money together. They strengthen each other's family. They strengthen each other's slightly distant family. You know what I mean? Like I call everybody related to one another in a patriarchal sense, right? From a starting super famous patriarch like mine, Israel, Jacob. He's the patriarch of the Israelites, and then he had 12 sons who we call the 12 patriarchs. So in ancient times, they used to deify these people. You see what I'm saying? So it just so happened that one of his one of Israel's descendants was deified uh, by the name of Jesus Christ, but that was not by like a force remix design, as other ancient cultures would arbitrarily do these things to their patriarchs. Uh, their patriarchs were deified and described in literature and art as gods. You see, so when the real God came, it made it look like that was just another trick of the trade. You see what I'm saying? Deification of ancestors, just another trick of the trade. That's what it appears to be. But if you ever have an actual experience with God, then you would know that God is real. Everybody knows that God exists, but they're in doubt about it because God doesn't love everybody. So God does not present himself to many people. You understand? All right, let's see if we can find another Teminidae reference in here. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay, okay. And those are the only references? Oh, okay. Yep, they are. Yep, sure are. Let's check out that other word they got there, teminus. See if that's in here again, because I don't want to read the entire thing. Sorry. Read it yourself. You see the link, the URL, and then you see the title, Alexander the Greek and his Greek origins. All right, let's move along to the next link here. All right, history. Let's go here. Yeah. Okay. All right. One final issue to consider. What book is this? Greek Tragedy on the Move. The birth of a pan-Hellenic art form, circa 500 to 300 BC. So now we're going further back in time. That's good. I'm glad. I like how the righteous judge, my triple master teacher, set this up. One final issue to consider is whether Euripides staged only one or multiple productions in Macedonia. We have seen that the Archelaus, Temenus, and Temenidae all covered episodes from the Macedonian foundation myth. However, it is uncertain whether these plays were intended to be staged as a trilogy or as unconnected dramas. Sorry, reading makes me parched. You say, no, it's the cigarettes making you parched. Yeah, that too. However, it is uncertain whether these plays were intended to be staged as a trilogy or as connected dramas. If the latter, being unconnected dramas, could these plays have been staged at different contests on different occasions? The argument for a Macedonian trilogy was first made by Zelensky and is also followed by Schoolian. Temenus and Temenidae would have covered the return of the Heraclidae to Argos and the reasons for Archelaus' banishment, while the Archelaus would have dealt with the story of Agae's actual foundation. However, there are a number of reasons why such a reconstruction, though seemingly plausible, is in fact unlikely. In particular, as Harder noted, if the Archelaus were the final play in a Timanid trilogy, it is difficult to understand why Euripides would have felt the need to include a lengthy genealogy in the prologue. Okay. Furthermore, there are a number of major contradictions between what we know of the Temenus and Temenidae and the prologue of the Archelaus. So somebody clearly tried to emulate the Temenidae and the Temenus. In the prologue of the Archelaus, the play's hero alludes to Temenus' capture of Argos, which I guess they supposing that didn't happen. And Temenus, son of his father Hylas, who reoccupied Argos as a descendant of Heracles. So yeah, we read about that just a second ago, which Harder placed in the hypothesis of the Temenidae, referred to Archelaus as the oldest of the sons of Temenus. Here, the prologue of the Archelaus is clearly in agreement with the Temenidae hypothesis. However, the prologue also seems to imply that Archelaus was born only after the return of the Heraclidae, whereas in the Temenidae, Archelaus was an adult at the time of the conquest. In addition, it is possible that the Temenus and Temenidae both dramatized the same episode in different ways. We have seen that the hypothesis to both plays covered the division of the Peloponnese by the casting of lots. See, they like to, that's how books are written. They give you billions of words for nothing. All you need to do is doggone provide evidence instead of your doggone epilogues. So now let's move on to the next link. Okay, can we do that? Let's do that. Okay, Argead dynasty was an ancient Macedonian royal house of Dorian Greek provenance. They were the founders and the ruling dynasty of the Kingdom of Macedon from about 700 to 310 BC. Good work, master teacher, Terry Smoot Jr. He keeps going back in time. He put them in order for me. Their tradition, as described in ancient Greek historiography, traced their origins to Argos and Peloponnese in southern Greece, hence the name Argiads or Argives. Initially, the rulers of the homonymous tribe. The homonymous tribe, the homonymous tribe According to Strabo, the Argadi were the tribe who were able to make themselves supreme in early Amatia, later Macedonia. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My chairman is not playing any games whatsoever. That's pretty funny. Let me respond to him. Okay. Yeah. So the chairman of the Nation of Yasharan, uh, is a real guy. All right. So their tradition, as described in ancient Greek historiography. All right. So now let's come on. Show me the Teminidae and the Temenus. Show me where you at. Let me look it up. There we go. The words Argive and Argive derive via Latin uh, Argivus, Argivus, I mean. Okay, okay, well, they're not going to tell me anything about it. From the Greek, Argivus, meaning of or from Argos. Argos is a city in Argolis, the Peloponnese, Greece, and is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. It is the largest city in Argolis and a major center for something. Good. The okay, which is first attested in Homer, where it was also used as a collective designation for the Greeks. The Argead dynasty claimed descent from the Timonids of Argos in the Peloponnese, whose legendary ancestor was Timinus, the great grandson of Heracles. See? So we're continuing to relate the Temanites to further back in time. And the original Temanites, I said, just to be safe, was between 10, or the 11th century BC to the 16th century BC, which is from 1000 BC to the 1500s BC. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're establishing a link to the past. All right. Let's move on to the next link here. Okay. Let's see what my master teacher has provided for me. Okay. One final issue to consider is whether, well, we're reading from Greek Tragedy on the Move again. The birth of a pan-Hellenic art form, circa 500 to 300. Okay. We have seen that the Archelaus, Temenus, and Temenidae all covered episodes from the Macedonian foundation myth. Just read this, brother. So he gave me a copy. He was just being thorough. That's all he was doing. He was just being thorough, making sure that he sent that. I guess he realized that that is an important piece and wanted to double it up. All right, what book is this? The Cambridge Ancient History. That's the name of this book. All right. This expansion of the Macedons was associated by Herodotus and Thucydides with a royal house, the Timinidae of Argos in the Peloponnese, Greece. See, that's who runs you. Royal houses. They find out their ancestry, uh, that's recorded, you see, and then they support each other financially, and they become, and then they just, continue to look out for their friends and family until they just rule a lot of space and amass a huge amount of income, money. You know what I'm saying? Or monies, varying forms of types of money, like the jewels and art, et cetera, et cetera. So thus, the Timinidae of Macedon, as in the oracle we have just cited, were a branch of the Timinidae. See? See? A branch of the Timinidae. See? The royal house of Argos. See? It's just another branch of the Timonites. So, you know, in a family tree, like I said, there's hundreds of thousands of people that people are related to that they don't know them anymore. You know what I mean? People move away from each other and they lose contact and they forget who each other are. You see? But there are people who keep records of their families. You see? So that's what we did. The Israelites, we kept a record of our family because uh, in our records it says that we will no longer keep this practice of maintaining our family lineage records. You see? And since we would no longer do that, and then at most times being forced away from each other and mixed up, tried to shuffle us up as much as they possibly could in order to uh, have us try to forget who we are and erase our name from history. But our record is so thorough that the mystery in the Bible tells us that we were going to go into bondage again by way of ships. So the only mass amount of people who went to bondage by way of ships are the descendants of slaves as defined by the United Nations, or the victims of the transatlantic slave trade, and the victims of European conquerors who had conquered Europe, and the victims of the European conqueror who conquered the seat of Rome, the seat of Pergamum, that was later moved to Rome. That seat of Pergamum is known as the office of the Pope. Okay, thus the Timinidae of Macedon, as in the oracle we have just cited, were a branch of the Timinidae, the royal house of Argos. Both historians were in agreement also on the number of generations, which divided the first king, Perdiccas, from the reigning king. Since Thucydides numbered Archelaus in 410 BC, the ninth of the line, we may date the florid of the first king circa 650 BC on the basis of 30 years to a generation. Well, that's just ridiculous. A generation, and generally speaking, is at least 70 years. Well, that's pretty dumb. Hold on a second here. So you got what you got? 9 times 30 is 270, right? That's even wrong. 270, 9 times 30 is 270 plus 410 is 680 BC. They got 650. These people don't understand math at all. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do it properly and say I'm already done reached 1,000 BC because this is just faulty and retarded generation counting. The minimum of a the minimum time span of a generation is 70 years. So I'm gonna say 9 times 70 is 630 plus 410 is 1040 BC. I'm already there. Good job. All right, but I'm going to continue reading anyway. Such a date for the arrival of Perdiccas, one incidentally, which occurred in a king's list of the Macedonians, is acceptable on other grounds. For it was then that the Timinid leader, Phidon of Argos, fell from power, and that Illyrian rule at Virginia came to an end. At the turn of the 6th century, the descent of the Macedonian royal house for the Timinidae of Argos was upheld by the judges at Olympia when Alexander was admitted as a competitor. Interesting links between Argos and Macedon have been discovered recently. Bronze Age tumuli at Argos, it is now known, were reused for burial during the geometric period, and the users were most probably the then rulers of Argos, the Timinidae. Equally, at the Macedonian capital, Aige, now Virginia, royal burials were under tumuli, and tumuli crowned the built tombs at Virginia, and of which one found by Romaeus contained a marble throne, and another excavated by Andronicus had offerings of a royal quality. How did these members of the Timinid house win the throne of the Timinids? Well, that's neither here nor there. I'm establishing a link to the past at the moment. So we clearly see the Timinids throughout this conversation, and Timinid means Temanite, that we speak about in the Bible, that was saved by Job. Job is their savior. Okay. So, and Job gives his saving ability and credit to the Most High. So I will do the same and say that the Most High saved them by way of Job. Next link. The Macedonian royal line. The last king of this line was displaced by Perdiccas in mid-7th century BC, received into the Argead tribe. This line continued through Alexander IV. Perdiccas and his brothers claimed origin from Argos, the royal house of the Timinidae, who were descendants of Temenos. See, Teman. whose ancestor in turn was Heracles, son of Zeus. Traditionally, Temenos had led the Dorian tribes into the Argolid and had founded Argos in late 12th century BC. See here? See, I'm going back in time. I'm going back in time. Perdiccas reportedly consulted the oracle of Apollo at Delphi to determine where to build his capital. He was told to follow the goats, so he named the town Aigai, Goat Town. That sound familiar? To Edomites, goats? Yeah, it does. This became the ancestral burial place of Macedonian kings, presumably modern Regina. Yeah, so that's what they did. You know, they would bury their fathers in a plot of land that they owned, and so they would bury them together. You see, the Macedonian calendar year started with the new moon in October, which marked the beginning of autumn pastoral migrations. Perdiccas expelled the Thracians from Macedonian coastal lowlands. He claimed all mines and timbered lands for himself. Yeah, that's what he did. So, as you can see, all months start with the new moon, and as we know, a month is contained by 4 weeks. 4 weeks are contained by 28 days. 28 days, a day is contained is made up of hours. Hours are made up of minutes, and minutes are made up of seconds. That's just the facts on time, how things are built as we understand them, uh, and time is defined. So within these months are your Sabbaths. So when the new moon starts, then you start counting your days, get to the seventh day, then you have a Sabbath. You get to the next seventh day, that's another Sabbath, and you just keep going forever. You see? And that's how that works. So the 2 minute days and the 2 minutes. So we're going back in time. So now we're well into the 12th century BC. That's good. That's good. That's what I want. Thank you, Master Teacher. And let's hit the next book and see what we can, if we can get back even further than that. This is called The History of Greece, Volume 5. The members of this royal house called themselves Temenidae. They venerated as they venerated as their original ancestor the same Temenus or Timan. See what I'm saying? So, but the Greek, they put the us on the end. Who was accounted the founder of the Heraclid dynasty in Peloponnesian Argos. Now we remember the disturbances at Argos during the regal period. The quarrel between the Heraclidae and the Dorian soldiery, and the flight, a soldiery is an army, and the flight of a king Phidon to Tige. It is therefore highly credible that during these troubles, individual members of the royal house immigrated in order to seek a more favorable theater for their activity, more favorable, a safer place to live. then was offered by the cribbed and confused affairs of their home. And tradition points precisely to the brother of this Phidon as the man who came to Macedonia from the shores of Peloponnesus. The name of Caranus, given to the immigrant, indicates the royal position which the Timinidae contrived to obtain in their new home. Here the events of the heroic age repeated themselves, for as of old the city founding families, that's how cities are founded, by families, had come to Batia and Argos. So it was now Argive princes who came into the north and whose intellectual superiority of mind enabled them to constitute themselves to center of the highland populations. I like that description. Man, we're going to have to describe ourselves as such when we found our cities, the 88 cities that we're founding, and the 40 embassies. We are intellectual superiors to people who mock and scoff that process. So uh, that's not an offensive thing. Founding cities is neither offensive nor defensive, but it can be construed as defensive, as the defensive mechanisms, just as these people moved away from the problems that they were having in order to find a more favorable, let me get the exact words here, favorable theater. So the cities that we're founding are, we call them refuge cities because of the oppression that white people don't seem to see or notice happening to us. You see? That the Peloponnesians took the pass opened by Corinth, the chief commercial city of the peninsula, is in itself very probable and is further confirmed by the circumstance that the first Macedonian settlement of Timinidae was Orestis, the district already mentioned, situate around the sources of the Helias Heliacmon in the neighborhood of Illyria and immediately to the south of the district of Lynceste. The chief place of Orestes was Argos, from which the Macedonian Timinidae were named the Argadae. Argadae. See? So we're just making a connection to the past. We're trying to save Private Esau at the moment. That's what we're doing. You see? So my master teacher sent me a lesson for you guys to comprehend, and I'm sharing it with you now. His name is Terry Smoot Jr. Okay. Articles, college cited sources. See here. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, we got a lot more to go. Okay. Let me get to it. Oh no. It's not even gonna let me read it probably. Let's see. The return of the Heraclidae. All right. And go a little lower. Oh, it's letting me read it. Amazing. That's all right. Okay. 2 copies. Both of these are filled with misspellings, perhaps the result of dictation and other errors, but they can be combined to produce a reasonably complete narrative. Okay. The Return of Heraclides, uh, published in Michigan. Uh, what's that say? Volume? Inventory 1319 or something. Contains on front and back in two different handwritings, two copies of the same mythological narrative of Temenos and Heraclides. Both of these are filled with misspellings, perhaps the result of dictation, and other errors, but they can be combined to produce a reasonably complete narrative. Annette Harder has recently suggested that among the fragments of Euripidean hypothesis in uh, that reference, which contains the renames the remains of the same text, reference here ought therefore to be derived from the hypothesis of Euripides, Temenos, or Temenidae. To her discussion, I wish to add only a suggestion on the meaning of the first two sentences of this text. The reconstructed exemplar of the two copies reads blah 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 blah. In the first edition, Turner translated the opening as follows. So they forcing their father, joining the ranks of the army of the sons of Heracles, and they embarked for sea and brought something. Okay, so they're not gonna let me read the rest of it. Just a preview, huh? Okay, not the problem. Not a problem. Read free online. Okay, let's go here. Get started. Oh, oh, they want all that information, huh? A lot of good fishing. You gotta be quicker than that. Now let's go to the next one. Alrighty. Now we're in connotations of Macedonia and the Macedons until 323 BC. It was a characteristic of Macedonian custom that a name was used in a special and in a general sense. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so because they understood God's law and understood that a name is is better to have a good name than riches. So that's what's happened to the Israelites. Our name has been uh, restored to its former greatness because the Gentiles have been proven to be the synagogue of Satan, uh, namely certain the Amalekites, certain Edomites, the tribe of the Amalekites. They are the royal family in England, and they have been um, exposed in the media as the synagogue of Satan. You see, so, but of course, in courts, um, it takes the witnesses that were involved to testify, but every witness that tries to blow the whistle is killed. So it's going to be nearly impossible to bring them to justice by way of the traditional courts. For example, foot companions was the name of a bodyguard of Philip and also of the men of the phalanx brigades from Lower Macedonia and Hypaspists was the name of infantry guardsman of Alexander. See, infantry, private, private Esau, guardsman of Alexander, and also of the men of 3 Hypaspis phalanx brigades. Geographical names were repeated. There were at least 2 regions and 2 cities called Amathia, 2 or 3 regions called Deborus or Doberus, 4 cities called Philippi or Philippopolis, and Alexandria's galore. A lot of cities named Alexandrias. To a modern mind, this makes for confusion. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's very difficult to explain your fucking authorship of confusion to my people, bro. Uh, so I don't appreciate you for that. That is certainly the case with the names Macedonia and Macedons, which I shall treat separately in this article. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that because that is the authorship of confusion, and I'm trying to bring forth clarity to you. And by the way, how to do that is to just draw a link to the past for you. And so I've already reached 1200s BC. So I'm trying to using their dating methods, 1200s BC. You see what I'm saying? So let me just move it along here so I can cognate it to today. Okay, let me see if anybody's in the chat. Nope, nobody visited, not 1 second. No likes, nothing. Let's see if I can like that. Oh, I can like it. Good. I liked it. All right. So now, Polycrates, Polycrates, or however you say it, and his brothers, Herodotus' depiction of fraternal relationships in the histories. All righty. Let's check this out. Herodotus' histories contains many stories about and references to brothers. These include extended narratives featuring fraternal protagonists, brief stories involving relationships between brothers, and unelaborated assertions of fraternal connections, drawing attention to some fraternal relationships more than others. Herodotus explores the consequences of various types of behavior between brothers. Some brothers have agreeably and cooperatively toward one another. Some brothers behave agreeably and cooperatively toward one another, while others fight and even kill one another. That's a fact. Herodotus' interest in the way that brothers treat brothers recalls the role of fraternity in traditional genealogies, establishing relationships between ethnic groups. That important. And that's why these fraternities exist, because of they're trying to, how the Bible says that this is how we know that you are a biblical family member or family member of God, is that you show brotherly love. You keep brotherly love in a very high regard. And however, the modern mind tells us to defend our brother no matter how wrong they are. Like, say, for example, your brother, your blood brother, or your frat brother, like in the police force or whatnot. How that's a brotherhood. You got the Muslim Brotherhood. You have the Masonic Brotherhood, and say that one of these people uh, is a Jeffrey Dahmer. You see, it is the modern mind that tells those that tells the Brotherhood to defend Jeffrey Dahmer at all costs in order to protect the reputation of the Brotherhood. So that's what happens in the police force. They come to the aid of their brother no matter how wrong they are. And that is not a biblical standard. The biblical standard is to warn your brother and admonish your brother and don't allow your brother to break the law. You see. So that was some piece of juicy little information that they gave there. Let me read that again. Herodotus' interest in the way that brothers treat brothers recalls the role of fraternity in traditional genealogies, establishing relationships between ethnic groups. Man, that is a powerful sentence, man. Such genealogies imply that affinity between brothers is somehow natural, while discord is aberrant. Yeah, right. Herodotus seems to accept this assumption in delineating ethnic propensities toward fraternal harmony or discord. As the only Greek in all of the histories to cooperate with his brothers, but then to banish one and kill the other. Polycrates straddles Herodotus' ethnic categories. Polycrates' treatment of his brothers appears atypical and problematic. In his longer tales about brothers, Herodotus distinguishes Greek fraternal behavior from non Greek in a consistent pattern. Greek fraternal relationships demonstrate harmony, while non Greek fraternal relationships demonstrate discord. If that ain't a modern day fact, and Herodotus said this in ancient times, that's amazing. So, Hellenization causes a fraternal camaraderie, as noted today with the college Greeks and the Masonic Greeks and the uh, fraternal police, they're Greek, and the Muslim Brotherhood, they're Greek. It causes a camaraderie, uh, uh, but then, as I stated just a second ago, it also uh, encourages, well, not encourages us, but it covers up uh, debauchery. It covers up deviant behaviors of their brothers. You see, there are brotherhoods today in my community that have a very high rate of spousal abuse, and because they're brothers, they cover it up instead of the Bible tells you to not allow them to abuse their spouse and to punish them for abusing their spouse. You see what I'm saying? But in the brotherhoods, uh, just allow it. Just allow it to happen. This is why so many multiple movements are coming back to back to back to back, because people are just covering up all of their deviancy and debauchery. You see what I'm saying? And people that know a lot of people can cover up their lawlessness, because all they have to do is say, don't say anything about it and scare them, and say, if you say anything about it, you're dead. And this is why there are so many countless victims that are nameless. We say her name and say his name today, but think of all of the thousands of missing people who are nameless. You know what I mean? Like we know they're missing. We know their names, and we have to presume over a certain amount of time, scientifically speaking, that they have died. You see what I'm saying? So they don't get any type of notoriety, and they're going to shoot, man. That's just too sad for me to even ponder about. So let's go to the next link here. Whew. Right, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm on the fourth one here. The Koina of Epirus and Macedonia. Okay, let's check this out. It is a particular pleasure to pay tribute to the outstanding scholarship of warm friendship of Fritz Solms, whom I first knew at Cambridge in the 1930s. Then he was my host at the Institute for Research in the Humanities at Madison, Wisconsin in 1975 and 76 and in 77. And he and Liselat were most welcoming to my wife and me. Our friendship was renewed most happily in Chapel Hill in 1986. Chapel Hill, North Carolina, when I was working at the National Center for the Humanities. On many occasions, and especially at Madison, where I took some seminars on Herodotus for him, we discussed many problems of Macedonian history, and he approached them all with his fresh and penetrating mind and a wonderful grasp of the Greek language. The subject which I have chosen is such as we discussed then. The term blah, blah, blah was much in use in what we now call northern Greece in the 4th century BC. See, notice how the 4th century BC is the 300s BC. That's how it works. You see, it's always one. The reality of the year is always 1 century less than. You know what I'm saying? It's called the 4th because you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. You see? Then the 5th is the 5. Oh, was the from the 400s to 499. That's the 5th. That's the 5th. So, because the 1st century is from 0 to 100, 0 to 99. You see, that's the 1st century because you have to count it. That's the very first 100 years. The second 100 years or the second century is from 100 to 200. So keep that in mind as you're reading. The more accurate you understand the information, the more accurate your speech will be, and then the more clarity people will get from the evidences that are provided. You see what I'm saying? So when you go through the evidences, you'll be able to discern for yourself what the amount of informations that you've read and the discussions that you had to clarify any like mistakes in these opinionated sources. You see what I'm saying? You can unravel the confusion that they placed here. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so the term blah, blah, blah was much in use in what we now call northern Greece in the 4th century BC. In the Treaty of circa 393 between Amyntas, son of Erhides, and Chalcidius, There were arrangements for the export of such timber products as blah 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 does not need, and for financial conditions affecting blah blah blah. For example, the Chalcidians. The term blah 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 was certainly the official designation in use because the inscribed stone was found at Alentus and gave the Chalcidian version of the treaty. The literal meaning of blah 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 is not the state or the league, as in LSJ 9, that citation, blah blah blah, but the community or the commonality. Ain't that something? If we keep the literal meaning, there's no difference in essence between the following examples of its use over a wide span, geographically and chronologically. In each case, it was the community. The literal meaning was prominent in such expressions as the communal peace, or as they call it now, the common good. The communal coalition, being the so-called Samaki, organized by Antigonus Dawson. You see, that's pretty good, man. This is some pretty good information that my master teacher Terry Smoot Jr. sent me. Oh, I went down too far. Hold on a second here. Let me fix this up. All right, good. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's hit the fifth link. Blam. Let's see what we're reading now. Oops. I went back to the wrong one. 2, 3, 4. Okay, their tradition. Hold on a second. I can't let you see this here. It might show my something. Okay, yeah, that was showing entirely too much information on that. So let me get back to it. Let me make sure I didn't skip one. I think I might have skipped this one here. The continuity of Macedonian institutions and the Macedonian kingdoms of the Hellenistic era. Let's see what they're talking about. The reign of Alexander is often treated as a watershed, and there is a tendency then for historians to limit their study to one side or other of the watershed. When Macedonian institutions are under consideration, this division is a disadvantage. Thus, dynastic cult in some kingdoms of the successors are like children, okay, and predecessors are like parents, has been discussed without mention of the traditional Shantika festival in Macedonia, at which the arms of the dead kings were carried in a procession. Moreover, the reign of Alexander is sometimes treated as an entity in itself, with its own political expedience. For example, the assembling of Macedons in Asia has been seen as arising from the exigencies of the campaign overseas without sufficient reference to such assembling in earlier periods. In section A, I list most of the testimonia which show that Macedonian ideas and institutions were in operation before, during, and after the reign of Alexander, more or less continuously throughout the period of independence. These testimonia have been increased in the last 20 years by the publication of inscriptions and by archaeological discoveries, so that much that was written up to 1978 is outmoded and even shown to be erroneous. I now advance in section B a new view of the continuity of Macedonian traditions and of the Macedonian nature of the kingdoms of the successors. In this article, I write assembly in reference to Macedonia. That is because I associate assembly with Athens, where the powers, membership, and procedure of the body were defined by published laws and described in Aristotle, Athenian Politica, politics. That assembly has sometimes been taken as the criterion for judging whether an assembly elsewhere was to be rated as an assembly. For example, R.M. Arrington wrote in 1978 that Macedonia had no formal or at any rate, the Macedons are the Timonids and the Timonites, the Timonists. So that's important, just to keep the consistency of thought that we're connecting to the past to get you to see the Timonids in history as it relates to the perfect history of biblical history. Okay, so then I'm going to cognate it to that. I'm not going to cognate the timing. I'm just giving a range of time, 1000 BC or the 11th century BC to the 16th century BC, which is from 1000 BC to 1500 BC. So just supposing that T-Man of the Bible, which is a descendant of Esau, lived during that frame of time. Okay. All right. So I'm just going throughout history, trying to link you to my biblical references. I'm going to get into, I'm a Bible guy, so I'm going to get into that in just a second. The traditional enmity between Sparta and Argos. Remember, Argos is a branch of the Timonites. The birth and development of a myth. That's what they call something when they want to cover up Black history. The American Historical Review. Modern scholars agree unanimously that Sparta and Argos were traditional enemies. That is, that the two states were eternally and unalterably hostile toward one another throughout the long centuries of Greek history. You see, Sparta is the 300, This is Sparta. Kick you down the well or the bottomless pit. A kick. See, they reverse the colors. They reverse the complexions in that scene. This is Sparta. The white man kicks the black man into the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit represents debt, insurmountable debt that is owed and that is not payable without the endless fall of the man in the pit. They say, kick him in the chest with full force upon when he looked over his shoulder and got the permission of his queen first. So he looked at his queen for permission, and she said yes, and kicked the black man into the bottomless pit. So that is the only way to repay an insurmountable debt, is to go into the bottomless pit talked about in the Bible. So Sparta and Argos fought each other. So Argos is a branch of the Temanites, and Sparta are the Israelites, the Lacedaemonians. Not the Macedonians, as we've been reading all night, but the Lacedaemonians with the L. Those are the Spartans, and those are the Israelites. So they had a eternally and unalterably hostile toward one another throughout the long centuries of Greek history. This presumed enmity between her seed and his seed has contributed significantly to the creation of an artificial chronology for Argive history, particularly with respect to that most illustrious and elusive Argive, the tyrant Phidon. Ever since antiquity, moreover, there has been a tendency to regard the traditional enmity between Argos and Sparta as the nucleus around which interstate relations in the Peloponnesus revolved. The author of a recently published textbook summarizes nearly 200 years of Peloponnesian history as follows. Sparta challenged Argos by planting refugees from Asine, a city of the Argolid, annexed by Argos, on the coast of Messenia. Wow, okay. Messenia, huh? All righty. Argos took up the challenge and defeated Sparta decisively at Hyceae in 669 BC. The decline of Sparta's prestige and the success of Argos may have encouraged Pisa to revolt from Elis in 668 BC and gain control of the sanctuary at Olympia by 660 BC. Then, circa 640, the Messenians revolted, and with the aid of Pisa, oh, see, I need to sign up for this so I can read some more. But it was just getting good. That's pretty good. All right, let me see if I have any more links here, and then I'll just move on to the Bible. Let's see. Authority Titans client portal. Authority Titans. All righty. Now, what we got here? Smaller calculator dictionary. Okay. Now, yeah, that's all of those. So I want to show you, let's go to the Bible here. Yeah, let's go to the Bible. Yeah. All righty. And then let's go to uh T-Man. T-Man. That's what I call. It's like I call NAAMAN. Tell me this don't say what it say, bro. Look at that word right now. People be laughing their face off when I call this dude nah man. No, that way what it say? Nah man. That's what it say. So don't be laughing at me. Laugh at the word itself. So Eliphaz, okay, so the sons of Eliphaz were T-Man. T-Man. So that's what we've been reading all night. And that's who they're related to. That whole line, Alexander the Greek and the boys. And if you read the story of um, how T-Man was saved, T-Man was saved by Job. Job, the Edomite. Job too was an Edomite. So Job was tortured. Well, he was already an extraordinarily wealthy guy, and he noticed that surroundings, in his surroundings, they were sacrificing their children to Molech, like they do today, with the adrenochrome, and they sacrifice the children and torture them in order to create adrenochrome. They are sacrificing those children to Moloch, a fake statue and a demon that inhabits the he is transferred, the demon is transferred by way of torture and death. That is, and is that torture is remembered within the blood and causes some type of euphoria and like superhuman power, like from what I hear about adrenochrome. And it's an extremely expensive drug, uh, and maybe the most expensive drug in Earth. You see, and they produce it en masse by kidnapping children from everywhere in the earth, and then they have sex with the children in order to remove the innocence from the child, and then they torture the child to cause an extreme release of the adrenaline. So the adrenaline is captured in the blood stream, and then once they finally die, that concentration of adrenaline is in the bloodstream. Then they concentrate that, or they might even just drink it straight. But a lot of times they process the blood in order to strain the raw adrenaline, and then they inject it and do all types of things with it. They turn it into smoke and all types of stuff. So that's your T-Man that we've been reading about this entire time. All right, so he's to be honored and respected by way of Esau, who saved him. So he performed the sacrifice that God ordered him and his two flunkies uh, to perform, and then the those three tribes of each bloodline, they all come from three separate bloodlines, but there's always a remnant of a tribe, of every tribe in the earth, that is acceptable. See what I'm saying? So you got Teman and then the other two tribes of the other two bloodlines. So you say for example, you got a bloodline, right? Like ours, like Israel. So the Israel bloodline starts with Jacob, and then he has 12 sons. 12 sons. Let's use 10, for example. So one of these sons, one son out of the 12 is acceptable. That's just an example, even though we know that all 12 tribes are acceptable, and there's going to be a remnant out of the 12 tribes to the tune of 1/3 of the 12 tribes, just a remnant from each, at all 12 tribes. A piece from here, a piece from here, a piece from here, a piece from every, a remnant out of each 12 tribes will coalesce to 1/3 of the nation of Israel that uh, are considered repentant Israelites and will be saved no matter the efforts of the Wizard of Oz, the great demon on the screen, and the fear tactics that they have going on every day, all day, every day. You understand that? And so the curtain is pulled back or the veil is lifted, and we can see the Jewisher behind the screen, and he is but a mere coward pulling the strings of puppets that speak for the devil on the screen, speaks for the Jewisher behind the curtain. So the Jewisher represents that race of people, the rebellious and unrepentant Edomites. See what I'm saying? The Temanites is a tribe of the Edomites, and this tribe is repentant. So that's how we're saving Private Esau today. We notice that Teman, Eliphaz the Temanite. So Eliphaz the Temanite. So you say, where you at? Eliphaz, the sons of Eliphaz, Teman. See? See? So now look at this. The sons of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zephi, and Gatam, Kenaz, like Ashkenazi, and Timnah, and Amalek. So we are all familiar with Amalek because Israelites like to focus on Amalek and say that they conflate Amalek with every tribe of Edomite, every Edomite tribe. And that's not the case. And so Amalek is the perpetual enemy of Israelites because our ancestors didn't genocide them. They disobeyed the Most High. The Most High told our ancestors to genocide Amalek, the Amalek tribe of people. There's hundreds of thousands of them. And so they didn't kill them all, and they felt sorry for them and allowed them to live. But Amalek stayed hating, just like most of the other Edomite tribes. But Teman repented, you see, and performed the sacrifice that the Most High asked Teman to perform. Let me show you that right quick because I understand that you hear me speaking, but you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the sacrifice. Okay, now when Job's three friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamanite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. You see? So they came to Job to comfort him. And then at the end of the story, we see here, and it was so that after the Most High had spoken these words unto persecution, right? Ain't that what Job mean? You see? Let's get that. Let's get that definition for you. Hated. Always call it persecution. Yeah, hated. For example, persecuted. That's right. Okay, the patriarch famous for his patience. So that's why they say that patience is a virtue, because Job is the earliest book in the Bible. It's the first book uh, chronologically, in chronological order. So that's why it's easy to place Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite uh, and these guys in the time frame of 1000 BC to 1500 BC, because the Pentateuch was written in the 1300s BC. So if Job is the first book ever written, it was either written in the 1300s BC, or it could have even preceded the writing of the Pentateuch as a preserved collection fleeing from Egypt. You understand? That's a hypothesis that could happen. So, and it was so that after the Most High had spoken these words unto Job, the Most High had said to Eliphaz the Temanite, "My wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends." Now, so when he says my wrath, he's talking about Satan. You see, his wrath is Satan. You see, the adversary to a friend, the adversary to a family member is Satan. You see, so his wrath. So that's what you don't want to see that coming. And against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has. That's why he sent Satan to Job uh, to polish up Eliphaz and Bildad and Zophar, to make them clean, make them acceptable, and they should be respected, because tonight we're saving Private Esau. See what I'm saying? We're saving them because Job has already saved them. So it's your duty to teach the lesson that Eliphaz the Temanite is an Edomite, Job is an Edomite, and all of these people, and Shuhite, Bildad is the descendant of Abraham, and Zophar is the descendant of I want to say Naaman. Zophar is the descendant of I thought a Namathite was a descendant of man. Let me check right quick. An inhabitant of Naamah, site unknown. Namathi, partial from a place corresponding in name, but not identical with Namathite, inhabitant of Naamah. Okay. Daughter of Meg, Zillah, okay, Tubal-Cain. Okay. The Ammonite wife of Solomon, the mother of King Rehoboam. Okay. So I don't know who is that particular person's patriarch is, but I think I read somewhere around these definitions here that uh, that a Namathite could also be an Edomite. I think that's what I understood somewhere, but I can't really find it really quickly right now. So I'm just gonna move the lesson along here. All right, so you got to understand that Job and his three buddies were saved by the Most High. For Job, for patiently enduring the torture that he was placed into, and never cursing or disrespecting the name of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? Or never denouncing the Most High. You see what I'm saying? And since he didn't do that, he was saved, and his three buddies were saved because I'm getting ready to read right here down below that the Most High said, I did this to Job for you on behalf of you three guys. So they are to be honored and respected, and it's up to you to understand this information and I mean, like, truly understand it, not just repeat what I told you, but to look into it deeply, based on your concerns and your knowledge that you have about this lesson. See what I'm saying? And then if you look into it carefully enough, see, that's the problem with a lot of people. They think too fast. So they skip fine details that offer clarity. You see what I'm saying? So you got Job 42:8 says, therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. See, the three friends were ordered by the Most High to have an animal burnt offering, which is to be eaten. And my servant Job shall pray for you. So a lot of times when people think of burnt, they think of burnt to ash or inedible, you know what I mean? But in a burnt offering, nine times out of 10, it's a meal. Okay. And my servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad and the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as the Most High commanded them, and the Most High also accepted Job as well. And the Most High turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. That's what we must do. That's that brotherly love. That's that fraternity. Pray for your friends. Also, the Most High gave Job twice as much as he had before. So he restored him and apologized and repented for his offense to Job. And in that apology is reparations, restitution. When you apologize, then you restore twice as much that you took. You see. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and he did eat. Yeah, so that's what happened. Okay, so let me go down here. Yeah. So they performed that, and let me get to the part where the Most High tells them that he did this for them. And the Most High turned the captivity to Job, gave him twice as much as that. Then came all the brethren, sisters, and acquaintances before he died, and they did eat bread. So that's what I'm saying. That the burnt offerings are not ash; they're edibles, and bread is, it's meat. And bread is, they ate a meal with him in his house, and they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Most High had brought upon him. See, the evil brought the Most High brought the evil upon him. See, brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money. See, money answers everything. And everyone an earring of gold. So the Most High blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep. That's a lot. And 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 sheep asses. Don't take that the wrong way, because it kind of sounds pretty funny. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemima. Wow. What's that man name? Lord Jamar just got finished banging on that name. Jemima. And he called the name of the first Jemima. And the name of the second Kezia, and the name of the third Carental that name. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. Now, where is his new wife at? Hold on a second. Okay. Well, you know, they say his daughters are fine, and we already know he was super rich, so he was restored to extreme wealth. Like, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. How many sheep did he say? 10,000? See here. 14,000 sheep. How much for a sheep? How much does a sheep cost? Oops. Right. That's what I meant to say. Okay. So, and a wazi costs 2,500. See? And of course, the Most High doesn't do anything but give you the best of the best of the best. So I'm gonna take the highest priced one, and then do my calculations here. Also find highest price from 2,500 to 1,250. That's the highest. 4,000 of a lace black nose. Rare, huh? I wonder what that looks like. I wonder what that looks like. Oh, oh, that's interesting. He's got a black face, not just a black nose. He has a black face and white woolly hair. Ain't that something? Okay, so the significance of the white woolly hair and black face is that Hamashiach is described in that way. So you got 4,000 times 14,000. Let's see how much money that is. 4,000 times 14,000. Now this is merely what it would have cost him, but the money he would have made off of this is even more. See what I'm saying? So that's 56 million by itself. That's like very wealthy uh, 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 compared to these days. You understand? That's pretty well off. But then you got 6,000 camels. You know, you do the same process with the camels, and then you add that to the 56 million, and you got 1,000 oxen, and then you do the same process. You look up how much an oxen would cost them, and then don't forget now the cost is much less than the money that he makes off of the processing of these animals and the usage of these animals because they graze the fields, they help him to farm the plants. They You can use the coats you can sell the coats over and over and over and over again every year. You understand? And then he can sell the meats when it's time to u- utilize them for food. You see, and then 1,000 she asses. Don't laugh. So you can add all that up, and that's what I'm just exposing his wealth. A lot of people don't understand how he was wealthy. Okay, so it also 7 sons and 3 daughters. Called the name of the first Jemima, and the name of the second Kezia, and the name of the third Karen Pooks. And in all the land were no women found so fine as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. Now mind you, uh, Edomites, original Edomites are black people, my complexion. Original Edomites. So they were fine black women. You understand? So um, Edomites, most Edomites, um, over time, they like unrepentant Edomites hate their heritage, hate their black skin. So they marry outside the race over and over and over. Countless, they conquer everywhere. They're the most notorious conquerors on the face of the planet. They have conquered every inch, every square inch of the land. You understand? So even the Temanites that I'm about to show you uh, were notorious conquerors. As you can see through the lineage that I just read about them being Alexander the Greek and all of that. That's the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, and the Macedonians, and all that. They were conquerors. They would go somewhere that wasn't theirs, kill everybody there, and then claim the land and then farm the land because they needed the land for farming. You know, they needed the space for farming. And they would see the lush vegetations, naturally wild vegetations that would grow everywhere, and they would conquer the space. So they would have to kill everybody there in order to bring their animals into the space. You see what I'm saying? So that they can maintain their wealth. That was their wealth. They're agrarian, so they use their animals and uh, their vegetables and growing plants as and their spices and then you can mine the land as well. As we read earlier, he claimed all the mines and land for himself. So Job This is it. He's an Edomite. He's a black Edomite. And unrepented Edomites, which have many multiple tribes, they all hate their heritage. They hate their skin. They hate the heritage of the oracles of God. You see, they hate that. So they just don't even want to have anything to do with that. So they never learn the lessons. And then they wax worse and worse, as the Bible says, it calls it. But they grow more debaucherous, more deviant until they become Satanists, and they start worshiping Satan and so forth and so on. And then they just do super duper lawless things. You feel me? So that's what happens. Like they don't they don't check each other like like a fraternity should. They don't keep keep each other from sinning. You see. So now that I established the link to the past uh, through history and showing it to you in the Bible, and the varying time frames that get you there, uh, I'm saving Private Esau. I'm saving Private Esau right now. Um, This particular tribe has to be respected. The Temanites, the Chewites, and the Namathites, they must be respected at all costs. Got to. Now, the reason that I'm doing that for you is a very particular reason I'm doing that for you, because there's a man that I understood that owns our property. He owns 100% of the Israelite inheritance, physical inheritance in the earth, right? His name is Tiversio Villamor Marcos the Fourth, to Gian the Fourth, right? So this man here owns 100% of the Israelite fortune, and he is from the repentant line of Esau, the Temanites. Okay, now this man here, this guy right here, he started out as a private. Now he is a 7-star general in the Philippines. He is the new, his organization is the new World Bank. See? The new World Bank. The old World Bank is gone. It's over for him. His organization is the new World Bank, and he owns 100% of the Israelite fortune, and it is humongous. It's valued at infinity, literally valued. Like when you do a valuation for like a piece of art or something, well, watch, let me show you something right quick. Let me see, what is the valuation of Mona Lisa, right? For just to give you an example, right? On permanent display in the Louvre, the Mona Lisa was assessed, that's a valuation, at $100 million on December 14th, 1962. Taking inflation into account, the 1962 value would be around $850 million in 2019. So the valuation of the Israelite fortune was, the assessment could not be assessed. It is invaluable. It is at infinity, the infinity sign. That's how they evaluated our fortune. So now, why do I say that he is a Temanite? Because that's what he claims. He claims to be a descendant. Let me see if I can find that particular video here. He claims to be a descendant of Alexander the Great, and but what he does is he names a particular um, I want to call him a pharaoh so bad, but a particular emperor claims to be a descendant of a particular emperor. Okay, so he's if you watch this channel, you'll see that he's um, by way of common law and with the military's might of the United States, China, and Russia repossessing the Israelite fortune right now. That's partially why the shutdown is happening uh, with the COVID situation to keep people from moving around too much and to keep them distracted so that it won't be a mass panic because people just go crazy when they hear about things like they tested it out in with the War of the Worlds series back in the way back in the day, not the new one, but the super old radio broadcast. So they tested the public's reaction uh, to a scary situation to see how people would react. And the during the War of the Worlds broadcast, there was a run on the banks, and the economy took a major hit, like it was a super hit, and like it was like a great recession or something. You know what I'm saying? And they said this we should never allow that type of mass panic to occur around the world. You understand? So the COVID is palatable to people. Like, there's enough people out saying that it's a hoax, which is not, and then there's not enough people dying from it to cause a super panic. It's just what I'm explaining it to you, man. I don't have the language, but I'm giving you the concepts necessary for you to comprehend what I'm saying here. The world economy is being reset, where all debts are forgiven. So the way that all debts are forgiven is by monies, right? But there are some debts that cannot be forgiven because you don't have enough monies to pay the debt. So because the the continual and constant nonstop conquering and oppression that occurs around the world throughout times is not repayable by money. The only way to repay that is your death. It's the only way to repay it. So uh, you can't put a monetary value on that. You see what I'm saying? So the conquering was unnecessary, and but only the descendants of the conquerors are liable for that. So uh, there were only you can see the conquerors throughout history. There were very few conquerors throughout history, and they were all from the exact same family, the Edomites. So the relatives of those particular conquerors are the ones who have to pay the debt of all of the murders that they committed. Countless murders, 15 million from that guy, that Russian guy. You know what I'm saying? 30 million with China. Uh, man, 100 million Native Americans. Uh, it's too many to name. But so my point is that only ones that's supposed to die are the people who were aiding and abetting the conquering. Conquering is illegal if it's not sanctioned by the Most High. And so it's a crime against humanity, which is a retroactive payment. Crime against humanity makes your payment retroactive. See what I'm saying? So until it's a crime against humanity, then there's a statute of limitations for a crime. See what I'm saying? So I suppose they deemed Cosby's crime a crime against humanity because the statute of limitations for rape is something like 7 years or something like that. You see? So there's one of these videos that, let's see, I think it's, I want to say it's this one that says that he is a descendant of one of the conquerors. This might be it. Let's see here, because it shows a picture of the conqueror. Let me pause this right quick because I don't want that to strike me. Is this it? Oh yeah, that's the new name of the Philippines is Maharlika. And the Philippines is what you would call Ophir in the Bible. Ophir is a man, and the Philippines was named after that man, Ophir. Okay, so one of these, I know one of these is it. Let me see here. This is a pretty interesting channel. You should check it out sometime. It's pretty decent. It kind of covered up some stuff that I don't appreciate, but it's all good. As long as it allows you to clearly follow the path of our fortune of the doctrine of discovery. You know what I mean? Like the ownership of the Israelite fortune up until a certain point, and then the records are sealed. You know, is this it? One of these videos tells you that he is a descendant of one of the descendants of Alexander the Great. And he calls him the greatest conqueror of all time and all this. And so he brags about that. And so but that descendant is a descendant of Alexander the Great. And I just proved that Alexander the Great is a Temanite. You see, and the Temanites must be respected at all costs. So since the Most High, now think about this now, this is our fortune. Don't you know that the Most High is going to protect his gold and his silver? See what I'm saying? There are legends that the Most High has demons guarding his fortune in there. You see what I'm saying? So, legends about that. So, saving Private Esau. I have just effectively saved this man, and this man should be respected at all costs. He has the military backing of the United States, Russia, and China. So I didn't understand that when he first mentioned that, like he had gave a shout out to him one time around Christmas, right? I was like, the fuck? You shouting them out like what? People are wicked, right? But he's a Temanite. So the Most High put him in that position right there over our fortune for a reason, bruh. So we need to find out what that reason is, first of all. Second of all, we need to claim our fortune, claim our inheritance from him, and then negotiate down to say close to like 10% is my thinking of 10% of infinity. That's what the fortune is valued at, infinity. You know what I'm saying? So if you look through here, you'll see him telling the countries everywhere in the earth to give him the monies that his father, Terversio Marco's father, right, was Jose Rizal, and his father placed that entire fortune in varying banks throughout the entire earth, fully, perfectly documented, so that at this time he could get it all back and reclaim it into one space, so that he can share it with the world. So he's sharing it with the world without our permission. So I don't know how the Most High is going to take that. He might think that's a problem. I don't know. I don't speak for the Most High. The Most High speaks for me whenever I'm, you know, in my right mind, and I'm on, you know. So he speaks for me. I don't speak for the Most High. I don't, He speaks for me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how he's gonna feel about him uh, just divvying out our fortune to the world governments. Is 195 countries in Earth based on their GDP. That's the plan, and they restructured the old World Bank, and they sending out these publications talking about, okay, we promise not to do any more harm. Like we won't do harm. Come on, man. You still trusting those people? The Jewishers, the banksters. They're all getting arrested. They're all getting slaughtered. The ones that don't want to be arrested. The ones that's hearing about it are killing themselves. They're, uh, they're broke. They're bankrupt. The banks are bankrupt. That's the most ironic thing I've heard in a long time. And so that's saving private Esau. I appreciate you paying attention, and shalom.